Coming up next, I'll tell you why job hopping is a good idea, and companies, it's a new trend, they're charging employees that quit, and then how many Americans can't unplug while on vacation? And I'm going to coach you up. Let's go. Helping you win at work and in life. More income, more impact, more money, more meaning. This is the Ken Coleman Show. I'm Ken. I'm your coach. Let's go. All right, so playing around with you a little bit today. Alex, the producer, is getting clever with the old open there. Why job hopping is a good idea. Well, okay, we're going to define what we mean by that. I mean, it's I like what he's doing there. You know, he's sucking you in a little bit. I like that, Alex. But hopping around laterally with no plan, well, that's not a good idea. But I think we take that notion and we broaden it too much to the point that we're afraid to actually make the right moves. And thus why we're talking about this today. I mean, you think about this. Nobody wants to be defined as a job hopper. Why? Because it's a synonym for flake. That's really what we're worried about, and I understand that. It's a natural reaction. And we get this call a lot on the show. But people say, well, Ken, I just started at this job 6 months ago, and I got an opportunity. And if I take it, is it going to make me look like, a flake, a job hopper? I mean, that's really the context for this. And what's so fun is I always like to remind that caller, now, wait a second. Did they come after you? In some cases, they've been recruited, so they don't think you're flake. They came after you. Sometimes I'll ask this caller if they're a sports fan. And when they are, I'll say, what's your favorite team? Think your favorite team. And would you be happy if your team went and snagged a popular coach or a really successful coach from another program that had only been there a year or two? And they'll say, of course. And I'll say, okay, have you had a coach leave after a short amount of time to take another step up to maybe a more prestigious, more successful organization? They'll say yes. I'll say, I know you were mad, but do you blame them? They'll say no. That person isn't a flake. They're simply taking an opportunity to step up to another rung on the ladder. So, if we can redefine job hopping, if we're hopping up, if you will, it is a strategic, I am moving forward or I am moving up. I'm making this move as a part of my climb to that dream job, that professional pinnacle. Then it's a whole different ballgame. If somebody looks at your resume and they say, all right, here I've got Ken Coleman's resume. Let's see, you were here for a year, and then you were, 10 months, and then you were here for 2 years, and then you were this next place for 2 years. And wow. And if they can see that there is a vertical move, that's exactly what they're going to say. They're going to say, wow. They're going to be impressed. Why? Because now what your job hopping looks like and what I am recommending that job hopping should be is that it is a very impressive climb up. So people go, wow, I mean, you're wanted, you're desired, you're impressive. You've been here, and then you were here, and then you were here, and then you were here. So there's nothing flaky about that at all. Quite the contrary. So people who, though, tend to, well, I'm here in this industry, and then I hopped over here 10 months later, and then I jumped over to this industry. And so you look at the same resume, and you go, okay, so you were in marketing here, and then you went and drove a delivery truck, and then looks like about 10 months later, looks like you did some sales for an HVAC company. Okay, right. And then you did 2 years in accounting. I mean, I'm reading that and I'm going, well, we have a person with an identity crisis. Now that I look at that and I go, okay, wow, you don't know who you are. Bless your heart, as we say in the South, right? That's kind of the mode that person would take, and that's different. So that's the person who is hopping because it's hot, or they're hopping because they're bored. They're hopping because it's a really bad environment. And so they're just kind of, there's no direction. I'm just moving. I'm hopping, right? When I was a kid, I used to watch all the Looney Tunes shows on Saturday morning. Some of you are so young, you don't even know what Looney Tunes are. Go look it up. I'm sure it's on YouTube. And one of my favorite characters was a crazy cowboy by the name of Yosemite Sam. And he had this crazy voice. And every once in a while in the cartoon, Yosemite Sam would torture some other poor cartoon character by pulling out his pistols and shooting at their feet. And he'd say something like, "Dance, you varmint," or something like that. That's my best impression. I didn't practice that. This is all fresh. I thought it was pretty good. And he would shoot his pistols at the poor other cartoon characters' feet. And what would they do? He'd be like, "Dance!" And they were hopping around trying to avoid the bullets. So a true job hopper in the negative sense of the word is someone who has no direction. There's no intentionality. It's just escapism, right? I'm escaping the bullets. Yosemite Sam and life is firing at my feet, and I'm just trying to get out. Now that's different. So to this end, as you know, I want to give you all very practical things you can do. All right, Ken, I agree with you. I've been a job hopper before. If I look at my resume now, I can be honest and say that maybe I look like a job hopper, and I want to avoid that. Okay, so how do we do it? Okay, how do we embrace quitting? When I was a kid, I played sports. My brother played sports, and so my dad was a good athlete and played college baseball. And so he was always telling us, "Look, you play, you don't quit, you never quit. Winners ever quit, quitters ever win." If you've ever heard that phrase, great phrase. It's not true. Sounds good. It's total garbage. Because great men and women quit. They know why to quit. They know when to quit. They know where to quit. They know how to quit. And so I was sharing this with somebody the other day, just offline, and I said, "Oh, that's really good." Every once in a while on the show, or I'll be in a meeting, I'll come up with some content that I think is really good. I don't mind patting myself on the back. I said, "That's really good." So I'm going to give you those questions right here today. This is how we begin to say, wait a second, when is quitting good? Well, first we got to know why we would quit. Why would we quit? Let me give you a couple examples. I would quit because I'm in a really negative and toxic environment where it's affecting my entire physical and mental and emotional well-being. That'd be a reason to quit. Why would I quit? When I've hit a lid, there is no opportunity to advance. It doesn't even exist. It's not I've been rejected. No, it's just there's no opportunity to grow. I mean, just look at it like, I can't go any higher. And I want to grow. That would be a why to quit. Couple examples. Then when to quit. When do I quit? Well, number one, when to quit is I don't quit till I have something to walk into. I'm not a fan of cliff diving. I like waltzing, or strutting, I like strutting into the next thing because I know I'm confident this is where I'm supposed to be. So when to quit? I quit when I've got the next thing to step into. No need for interruption in income. That's ridiculous. Number three, where to quit. Are you quitting to the right rung on the ladder? It's that simple. Am I quitting to the right opportunity? So I'm quitting, where do I quit? To the right opportunity, where I can climb, where I can grow. And then finally, how do I quit? With class. Quit gradually and with class. If I was going to bumper sticker, I'd say quit gradually. What do I mean by that? Prepare the next person. Leave well. Build a bridge. Don't burn the bridge. Build a bridge for your reputation. Why to quit, when to quit, where to quit, how to quit. You need to quit. All right, coming up next, more companies are charging employees for the job training they receive. We'll break it down next.
Did you know that just like a product, you have a personal brand? It's the image or impression others form about you based on your interactions. And whether we realize it or not, our personal brand impacts opportunities to grow in our careers. That's why our team created the Personal Brand Survey. It's free, and it will give you personal and professional feedback so you can own your strengths and uncover any blind spots holding you back. To get started, go to kencoleman.com/brand.
Of the people, by the people, for the people. I'm a man of the people. They call me Ken around here. I am here for you. I devote this entire show, everything I do, to helping men and women discover their unique contribution to this world through their work. I'm all for a fat paycheck, but I can tell you this, when you're making a fat contribution, that's P-H-A-T, I don't know what I'm doing. I'm getting out on the end of a diving board I shouldn't be on, but I just went with that. When you're making a fat contribution, I can tell you this, your paycheck's enough. And nobody teaches that in school. But I can tell you this, you were created to fill a unique role in this world. You are needed and you must do it. And I'm here to help. One of the ways we're doing that, Digital Marketing 101. I am so excited. You know I rail against the education system that I think is absolutely broken. And I want to bring solutions to the table. One of the things we're doing here is Ramsey Career Academy, training men and women to be able to do work that doesn't cost an arm and a leg and doesn't take very long because you don't need a degree. No degree required, folks, on our Ramsey Academy training. The next one is Digital Marketing 101. It is exactly as it sounds. This is a hot industry that you can get into and move up. But a lot of people are scared by thinking it's too complicated or you need a degree. None of that is required. Ramsey Career Academy and I working together to launch this course, Digital Marketing 101, where I'm joined by my friend Andy High, our Ramsey Solutions Senior Digital Marketing Officer. This guy's brilliant. He and I teach you the ins and outs of digital marketing, including my specific teaching on the soft skills that you can get and you must have to win in digital marketing to set yourself apart and move up. Spots are limited. You have to apply. Go to RamseySolutions.com/marketing course. That's RamseySolutions.com/marketing course. All right. Informing you as I do. Story from Reuters. Headline: more U.S. companies charging employees for job training if they quit. I'm going to tell you all, I'm slightly torn on this one. So YouTube chat room, these are our live commenters. We'll see what you say. Alex, I'm torn. We'll get to that in a moment. When a Washington State beauty salon charged Simran Ball $1,900 for training after she quit, she was shocked. I guess so. Hey, I'm leaving. Here's my 2 weeks notice. Okay, hold still. Be right back. They come up with a $1,900 bill. You know, all that training we did for you on how to shampoo Ken's hair? We'd like $1,900 back. By the way, I make no bones about it. I go to a very nice salon, and I get the shampoo and condition. Oh, yeah. It's about 8 to 9 minutes before I ever start getting a cut. I'm like a human piece of licorice before I ever get cut. It's fantastic. Guys, if you're afraid of it, there's nothing to be ashamed of. What dude doesn't like his scalp rubbed? It's fantastic. Make no bones about it. Love it. Not only was Ball a licensed esthetician with no need for the instruction, she argued that the trainings were specific to the shop and low quality. Her story mirrors that of dozens of people and advocates in healthcare, trucking, retail, and other industries who complained recently to U.S. regulators that some companies are charging employees large sums of money for the training that they received. In a 2020 survey by the Cornell Survey Research Institute, they found that nearly 10% of American workers were covered by a training repayment agreement. I was surprised at that. I mean, 10% of American workers is a lot of people who are under a contract that if they were to leave before a certain amount of time, they have to reimburse the company for their training. Not a new concept at all. I've had calls where people are going, Ken, what do I do? I'm under a contract. And I've advised people on those situations. So not a new idea. But critics are calling this, and Alex, I love this. They're calling this, whatever you want to, this form of charging people, training repayment agreement provisions. In other words, did you see what happened there? Traps. Little acronym there. Training repayment agreement provisions. It's in your contract. Isn't that fun? So you got a trap in your contract. It's very clever. Traps have been around in a small way since the late 80s. As I said, not a new thing. But in recent years, they've become more widespread. And those agreements have traditionally, when they first started, it was more of a white collar type situation. Now it is moving into your hourly workers and in the trades. And so this is where it's become a little bit of a rub, where it's kind of the working man and woman and it's lower pay. And so they're going, wait a second, why should someone who's in a lower paying job have to have this provision? Now it's come down to, you guessed it, my friends in the union. If you're new to the show, I don't like unions. Stay tuned. The International Brotherhood of Teamsters said in comments that training repayment demands were particularly egregious in commercial trucking. They said firms like CRST and CR England train people for a commercial driver's license but charge more than $6,000 if they leave the company before a certain time. The American Trucking Association argues that the license is portable from one employer to another. And it said, please don't characterize this as employer-driven debt. All right. So this is very interesting. And I had to think long and hard about this because I am a man of the people, by the people, for the people. However, I'm a capitalist. And I think it bears conversation. It bears being looked at. But I understand a company saying, look, I'm going to invest thousands of dollars in you. I don't want you to turn around and leave me 6 months later. I don't think that's egregious. I really don't. But I do think that the terms and how long and that type of thing, I think that bears looking at. You know, how long are we talking about here? Because you start getting to 2 years and 3 years and stuff like that. And it's like, if this is the only way you could hold people in, then you got something wrong. And that's what's going on underneath of this. This is a direct result. The spread of these traps is a direct response that companies are having from the Great Resignation, where we still have 4+ million people leaving jobs every month. And they're going, we got to keep people, and I'm going to train you, but I'm going to hold you, you know? And it's kind of like, man, it's like, oh boy, I'm going to offend some people with this, but I feel like it has to be said. It's like when I see people walking through the airport or the mall with a leash around their kid. I have 3 kids, all right? I get that your kid can go running off. But if you got to put a leash on your kid, something's wrong with your parenting. Can I get an amen? And I know somebody's really pissed off now because we live in the world of everybody's offended. I'm not saying you're a bad parent. I'm going, but you're not doing something right if we got to have a leash on the kid. All right? It's a human, not an animal. You know? Kids don't run off sniffing other kids. A dog, I understand. That's in their instinct. But you can parent through this. Hey, Alex, add that to phrases I never thought I'd utter on the show. All right, next thing I want to get to, next story. 54% of workers can't fully disconnect during their paid time off. This is a CNBC article. Glassdoor found that 54% of workers in the U.S. say they're unable to stop working while on vacation or don't believe they can fully unplug. And this is even more evident in older professionals, with 65% of workers age 45 and older, so they're unable to detach from work during their vacations. What's wrong with you people? I'm 48, so I'm going to get on you. Why? Why? This is up to you. Stop blaming your boss for this. Let me tell you something right now. I got 3 tips for you, people over the age of 45 that can't detach from work during your vacation. Number 1, how about being present? How about coming up with a plan and do some fun stuff? Make some moments with your family. It's pretty easy to get distracted when you're making great moments. 2, remove the tether. Put some boundaries up. Put your little message that says I'm out. I don't know how to do it because I don't hardly ever check my own email. Somebody knows how to do those out of office things. Do that. And then remove the distraction. Leave your computer home. Give your phone to your wife or somebody. Leave it at the hotel room. Come on, folks. This is pathetic.
So you just landed the new job. Congratulations. You've made it past the interviews, and now it's time to onboard with excellence. That's why I created How to Stand Out at Your New Job. This free checklist will help you succeed from day one and may even help you get promoted. These practical steps set you up to add value, help your team win, exceed your leaders' expectations, and ultimately set you up for a successful transition. To get started, just go to kencoleman.com/new.
Rocking in the free world. This is the Ken Coleman Show. Wish I could play little things like that. I like that. I like the way that sounds. I can't play it. I used to play the trumpet many, many years ago. All I got left for you now is air trumpet. That's all I can do. That's all I got. And Alex is going to try to cut that out of future shows, but there you go. Okay, here's what I'm doing. I'm trying to, if you must know, Alex, what I'm doing there by playing around, I'm trying to regulate my blood pressure. My blood pressure is about to get high. And I don't walk around thinking I'm a big deal. Okay. But I do think at some point my Prime membership is going to get cut. And I'm not anti-Amazon just for the sake of anti-Amazon, because I'm all for big companies make a bunch of money. Let me tell you what I am anti. I am anti-bad bossery. I am anti-devaluing people. I am anti-tone-deaf leaders who don't value people. Latest story on Amazon, trying to fight unions. You're not even going to believe this, how stupid this is. In June 2021, the International Brotherhood of Teamsters, one of the most powerful unions in the world, published a special resolution about Amazon, labeling the tech giant as an existential threat and vowing that building worker power at Amazon and helping those workers achieve union contracts is a top priority. Okay, great. But this is all political posturing as well. So Amazon has got a plan. After that shot was fired, of course, Amazon was probably already thinking about it, but they said, all right, we got to fight this. The unions have put us on notice. They want to see widespread unionization of workers at Amazon. What are we going to do about it? Well, Vox.com, of which I am sourcing here, got their hands on an internal document on how Amazon is going to how to neutralize powerful unions. The document came out in May 2021, and it offers insights into two strategies that were highlighted in the memo. One, to establish and deepen relationships with key policymakers and community stakeholders. That's all a bunch of fancy gobbledygook to say local politicians and power brokers. That's all that is. Big money business people in the local community and local and state politicians. That's what that is. That was the first strategy. We got to deepen our relationships. And what do you think that means? I'll tell you what it means. Bribes, money, favors. This is right out of a freaking movie, folks. Where do you think the movies get these ideas? This is really happening all the time. Number two, to improve Amazon's overall brand. Well, that's a stroke of genius. This is how we're going to fight you. We're going to improve Amazon's overall brand. What? How are you going to do that? I just reported on the show last month that they have internal documents at Amazon that are saying in key areas on the West Coast, Phoenix particularly, a couple of locations in California, where they expect to burn through the amount of available employees because they have such high attrition rate. Amazon is a dumpster fire. They burned through so many employees due to safety issues and overworking folks that they said, hey, listen, we're going through employees and burning through people so quickly that in a year or so, there's not going to be anybody that will work for us in Phoenix. That's from an internal memo, folks. It's not me making this stuff up. To achieve these goals, the memo proposed this is how they would do it. To boost Amazon's reputation and simultaneously neutralize company critics by befriending the critics' own allies, politicians who normally support unions, and by launching feel-good initiatives to turn the media and local politicians into company boosters. Oh, so how's the Teamsters general president? This is the big-time union organization, Sean O'Brien, told Recode in July that his union is intent on disrupting Amazon's network until they get to a point where they surrender and stop resisting workers' unionization efforts. Folks, this is all out political war. And again, I'm not going to bash the unions today because it's all about politics and power for unions too. But I'm going to focus on Amazon's response to fight this because it's the most moronic thing I've ever heard in my life. It makes me wonder, how did Amazon become what it is? The people running the shop are morons. Now, why do the Teamsters care so much? Well, the stakes are high. Amazon has been creating countless non-union jobs across industries for over a decade. And these are critical to the Teamsters being able to survive as an actual union. Those are warehousing jobs, trucking, package delivery. And then the Teamsters' number one employer is UPS. UPS is the number one employer of union employees. And so obviously Amazon has cut big time into UPS's global profits. So the memo proposed that Amazon should create and foster partnerships with local nonprofits and community organizations that company officials hope would provide political cover for local politicians, in hopes of neutralizing organized labor's attempts to grow their coalition, third-party validators and spokespeople, and provide a platform for Amazon spokespeople and allies to speak of the true economic and social impact of Amazon in Southern California. So what do I mean when I say that Amazon is run by some morons in this particular area that are outlining a memo to fight unionization? I just told you the two things they were planning to do: cozy up to policymakers through donations, maybe bribes, promises, favors to get those policymakers to come out publicly and give them political cover. Two, we're just going to do some really great branding and tell the world how great Amazon is while ignoring the fact that we're burning through employees so quickly. We are alarmed that there are going to be metropolitan areas where we don't have candidates to actually do the job. Folks, something is off. Big time company. I use their services, but I'm just going to call it like I see it. This is another example of leaders trying to deal with a people crisis, which is unionization they're trying to fight. And I agree with fighting unions, because it doesn't even help the employee. But they're focused on politics, not people. Hey, Amazon. Hey, Jeff Bezos. Why don't you come out of your space rocket long enough to realize something that at some point in the early days of your company, you realize, and you have long since forgotten, that if you take care of people, you value people, and the way you treat them, the way you pay them, the way you develop them, the way you train them, the way you care for them when they go through personal crisis, they're not going to be distracted by union employees. They're not going to be tempted to leave you. But if you treat people like you have as commodities, just worker bees designed to do your bidding, they will leave you. But your plan to fight unions is politicians who kiss up to you one moment and stab you in the back in the next. And they have no conscience, no spine. That's your strategy? To come up with a cool narrated campaign to make you look good when the numbers don't lie? You have more injuries than any other organization in the country. You have people leaving you in droves. So how do you fight unionization? How about treating people in a way that they don't want to leave you? Or if they do leave you, they feel sad because you treated them really great, but they're taking a better opportunity. We get those calls every day on the Ken Coleman Show. Hey, there's a novel idea. Why don't you just love people? And they'll be loyal. But loyalty doesn't happen on its own because you demand it. Loyalty is a result of being loved. Every time. I don't get it. What are they doing over there at Amazon? Somebody call me. I'll come in and fix the situation. It's a whiteboard and some intentionality to love people.
You were created to fill a unique role through your work. but it can feel overwhelming to figure out what that is. That's why I created the Get Clear Career Assessment. In just 15 minutes, you'll get customized results that clarify what you do best, the work you love to do, and the results that motivate you. All this helps you discover what you were born to do. And you'll get a list of professional possibilities to help you in your job search. To get started, go to kencoleman.com/assessment.
Welcome back to the Ken Coleman Show. Time to put my coach's hat on. Don't be alarmed. I don't have those gray bike coach's shorts from the 80s that, let's be honest, showed way too much of our coach's leg. You know, it's good to see that the longer shorts came into fashion. Now the kids, by the way, are trying to make the shorts shorter. I picked my kids up the other day at their school, and 3 or 4 kids come walking out. They got the khaki shorts on. You know, it's one of those uniform deals. And 3 or 4 of these young guys got their khakis rolled up 2 or 3 levels, wanting to show off. What are we doing, guys? What are we doing? There was a season of life when NBA players and young guys like me that play basketball, our shorts were really too short. And thankfully, the Fab Five from Michigan came in and changed everything. Now I feel like it's going back. And that's just a PSA that I didn't plan to say. Nobody wants to see that much of your leg, I promise. All right, Sarah's up next in Dallas, Texas. Sarah, you're on the Ken Coleman Show.
Hey, Ken. Thanks for having me.
You bet. What's up?
Okay, so I've been considering looking for a new job outside of my current company for higher pay. But recently, or this last week, I was offered a different position within my current company, and now I'm trying to decide if I should take that opportunity.
Okay, what are we deciding? What are the pros and the cons? What can I do for you?
Okay, so it would be a title change and then obviously a higher paying salary. So that would be good. My current role, to be honest, I'm comfortable in it, but I like everyone I work with, and, you know, I can't complain about, you know, the direction. They're very forward with where I'm going.
But
I just recently found out I'm underpaid, though. So that's kind of what got me started looking in the first place.
How did you find out? How'd you find out you were underpaid?
There were some positions that had opened up, and just we're back in the office and just different coworkers talking, and then I started doing some research in my current role and everything, my responsibilities and what I'm doing, and so for my company as well as like my current role at other locations, I'm roughly about $20,000 underpaid.
Okay, so this is going to be hard to do, but I know you can do it. I want you to go back to before you found out you were $20,000 underpaid. Would you be calling me right now?
Probably not.
Okay. That's important. Now,
right.
I don't ask you that to minimize how you're feeling. Because what you're feeling, and I'm assuming these are facts, I think you've laid out a case that you can prove that you're underpaid. And so that sucks. And so what happens is when we find that out, what quickly happens is we feel devalued. We feel like, well, they don't value me like they should. Should I be here? Nobody wants to be where they aren't valued. Is that fair to describe how you're feeling?
Yes, that's very fair.
But you didn't feel that way 5 minutes before you found out. So.
Yeah, that's true.
So now we got to put our big girl pants on and we go, all right. Am I leaving for the right reasons, or am I considering leaving for the right reasons? Now, to the specific question, the internal job that you've been offered, they do value you enough to offer you that, correct?
Correct.
Yeah. So it is more money and it's a better title, but I haven't heard anything that says, I'd really like this role. I feel like you're just looking at it and you're looking at the one outside just to make up the check difference that you feel bad about. Is that right?
Yeah, Yeah, I agree. I mean, this new role, I would have more responsibility than what I do now.
Okay, let me ask you this. Does it put you on a ladder that you can continue to grow, whether it be internally or externally? Does it set you up for a better future?
Yeah, and that's part of that's what I've been thinking about as well, because this title change and the skills that I would be learning in this new role will definitely help me.
Okay, great. That's the deciding factor. That's the deciding factor for me. Presuming that you're not in your current sweet spot, what I don't think you are, this is going to get you higher up the ladder towards the dream job, and it does that through experience. That's what it does. Title, and I don't think title matters as much as you think it does, but the experience does. So it sets you up. Oh, by the way, we get a nice pay bump, and we feel better about where we work for the time being. So I would take it. But only as a step to climb the ladder that you want to climb. Thank you so much for the call.
Did you know that recruiters take an average of 6 seconds to scan a resume? And that's if they ever see it in the first place. In fact, 75% of resumes are rejected before reaching a hiring manager. Listen, folks, if you want to get hired, you've got to make your resume worth noticing. That's why we created How to Write the Perfect Resume. This free guide will walk you through the 5 steps to stand out in the hiring process to get you your dream job. If you want to get started, go to kencoleman.com/resume.
Welcome back to the Ken Coleman Show. Hey, question for you folks. What if I told you that you could spend $10 and get unbelievable clarity on your future? Confidence from that clarity that would give you the courage to step out and stay on the path to using what you do best, your talent, to do work you love, passion, to produce results that matter to you, mission. Well, you can do it. We've got a special deal right now. Much to my chagrin, I thought we should charge people full price all the time, but I'm biased. But the Get Clear assessment is available for the month of October only at $10. We've had record sales. This is the 20-minute assessment that will do for you what no other assessment can do in giving you a true mirror to look at. This is who I really am. This is what I do best, my talents. This is what I enjoy doing. This is passionate work. And then what motivates me? What is a missional result for me? Those 3 results plus a printed or a PDF version of that purpose statement with those words as big, strong boulders to guide you, to give you clarity. You can put it on your mirror, put it on your closet door. You can have it on your desktop, look at it every day. I'm so proud of this tool. Tens and tens and tens of thousands of people have bought it. And if you've taken it, we'd love for you to spread the word. You can gift it to somebody. Ramsey Solutions, Mothership, of course, and then KenColeman.com is the easiest thing for you folks to remember. KenColeman.com. Go get the assessment today, the Get Clear Career Assessment, only $10. Green Bay, Wisconsin is where we head next. Joe is there. Joe, you're on the Ken Coleman Show.
Hey, how you doing?
I'm living the dream, Joe. What are you doing?
Oh, not too much. Just got a little bit of confusion here in my life. Wondering if you could walk me through it.
Let's do it.
All right. I'm 36 years old, and I've been in the automotive repair business since I got out of high school. And I was fortunate enough to have my own business for the last 10 years, and it was very successful. I had a lot of fun. Up until the last couple of years, it got to be really overwhelming, really stressful. And there was a lot of stuff going on. It was starting to really affect my mental and physical health.
Yeah.
So I had an opportunity to sell it to one of my employees. And so I took that opportunity and I got out of it completely. And a dream of mine has always been to be a pilot. And I've been flying as a pilot for a hobby for about 7 years. So I thought, now is a chance that I can actually do that. And so I started working on the training to get a commercial license, and I got about 3 months into it, and I got a medical diagnosis that is kind of a roadblock. Doesn't make it necessarily impossible, but it could. So there's a big question there. So now I'm just kind of questioning the whole decision, if I should keep pursuing it or if I should go back to what I know and, know for sure that I can have a job.
Well, I'm going to come at this from how I would handle this news. I would be holding off on any long-term decision on flying until I knew that medically it was not an option. But right now it's a could be. And until we know that it is no longer an option. So whatever the medical diagnosis is, until I know for sure that I'm going to be unable to fly, I'm going to be in a holding pattern.
Right.
So how soon will we know?
What was that last part?
How soon will you know on whether or not this medical diagnosis or condition would prohibit you from becoming a pilot?
Well, there's a long process you got to go through. Well, I'll just tell you what it is. It's type 1 diabetes. And up until a couple years ago, they didn't even allow pilots to fly with it. But they've now just kind of loosened the regulations a little bit. So it is possible to do, but there's a really lengthy process to go through. And there's a chance that they could deny your medical certificate and then you can never fly again. However, it is a lifelong condition. It doesn't go away.
Right.
So even if they do approve me, then I have to go through this process every 6 months, and at some point it could become, they could just deny it.
Yeah.
So that's where the risk comes in.
Okay, because you put all this time and money into it, and then
right,
you're out of luck. Yeah.
Yep.
Well, again, this comes down to the head versus the heart. And I think the head tends to say, "Oh man, this is too risky," but the heart goes, if I can cash flow it, it's a risk I'm willing to take because I really want to fly. So it comes down to how bad you want to do it, and there are associated risks with any venture. And I would not risk your financial stability. If I had to hustle and I had to invest money that I was able to earn, I didn't go into debt and I didn't wreck my financial future, I'd probably take a shot at it if it's me.
Right.
But
that was my thought.
But I tell you what else I would consider. I would consider what you love about flying. And by the way, is this to actually get paid as a pilot, a commercial pilot? Is that what we're looking at long term?
Correct. Yep. Or, the first step on the ladder is usually a flight instructor. So if I can get into that, that I for sure can do with my medical condition. I know that.
That's
already.
what I was getting at. So pardon my ignorance. But I was wondering, would it preclude you from, flying tours and birthday banners and, I'm just trying to think any kind of job where you're up in a plane, would it preclude that?
Right. Flight instruction is one thing that there's a different medical certificate that I can use that would allow me to instruct. So I would be able to do that. But those are typically entry-level jobs. They don't pay all that well, and it's usually not a long-term career thing. It's just an entry-level. And
that's the other thing. Do you need to work? I'm assuming you still need to work and bring home a certain amount of money.
Yeah, I have a fairly good financial situation. My house is paid for, so that's good, and I have money saved up for training.
I'm going to stick with my first gut that says if this is you and your wife are all in on this and you got the money saved up and it's a calculated risk and it's not a huge risk in that you could do some flight instructing just as a side gig. You could, do some flights, maybe do some tours or something like that. There's other ways to get up in the air and feed that. Am I right?
Right. Yeah, correct.
And I think that that's kind of worth the whole thing. Now, I want to pivot though. So what I'd be looking at, and this may be hard for you to get your brain around, but I think you can get there, is what do you love about flying? When you're up in the air, I'd be making a list. I'm not going to make you do this on the air, but I want you to literally write out, what do you love about piloting a plane? And I would get specific. Well, I love the planning of the route. I love, maneuvering through this. And I would write down specifically everything you loved about flying a plane. It's very specific. And then I'd put the pencil down and I'd look at it and I'd go, okay, what's really going on there? So when I say, can you give me 2 examples so I can play this out really quick? I only got about a minute, but give me 2 examples of what you love. Go ahead.
Obviously the overall thrill of it is one thing.
Yeah.
And the challenge, it's always a challenge. It's never the same. No landing is ever the same. No.
Perfect.
Okay.
All right. So I'm going to give you those 2 things. Just you understand what I gave you as an exercise, but let's take those 2 things. Okay. Yep. Number 1, I love the thrill and I love the challenge. I get super specific. I go, okay, what other work is out there that has a thrill component and a challenge component to it? And I'd be looking for that because I believe in my heart of hearts that there's other things that you can do that aren't in a plane that would give you that same or similar juice. I really believe that.
Right. Okay.
And I'd be looking for that. And may not have a diabetic, whatever, limitation to it. But I think there's parallel work. Do you get what I'm saying? You understand what I'm saying?
Yeah, definitely.
I think you find it. I would lay that out. So that's your homework assignment. And you and I got started on it. And I think once we figure that out, then we go, okay, now I can see there's other work out there that feeds that passion and results, mission. I mean, what we just described really is heart level stuff. But Joe, I got to tell you, man, I'd go for it. I really would. I'd go for it, knowing you can fall back to those other 2 situations. Appreciate the call, Joe. The best is yet to be. This is the Ken Coleman Show. Press on.
Thanks for listening to the Ken Coleman Show. For more, you can find the show on demand wherever you listen to podcasts and watch the show on YouTube. You can also find Ken across all social media by following @Ken Coleman.